Here we are again. We got a 2008 Chevrolet Impala. We're going to fix on a little bit today. We've got some brakes we've got to put on it. We're going to change the oil in it. Probably not going to bore y'all with that. It's got a clicking noise underneath the dash. And when I was pulling it in the shop, I rolled the window down and the window regulator broke. Yep, story of my life.
Are you just putting front brakes on it?
A subscriber gave me this. $1, $15, $32, $25, and $7. Yep. Okay guys, we got the tire off. We're down to what we need to be on. These are 13 millimeter. We're going to take these two small ones off here. There you go. Take these off like this. They normally screw right on out. Two screws. Sometimes you got, I always pull it over a little bit. What it does is it pushes that piston back so it doesn't drag. Sometimes it'll drag on these little tits here, but this is a dual cylinder, so we're just gonna lay it out of the way. What was wrong with this? It was dragging. I think the other side's metal to metal, but you see there's hardly any pad left on these. I'm gonna put rotors on here too, because if you look right here, see that? That's a ledge right there where it wore out. Now these back here, these bolts back here, they look like they're probably 15. If I can get my assistant to hand me a 15 wrench. If you're working on the back's gonna be a 14. But these up here are 15 on this. Shit! Man, that's tight, son. That must have been factory. Good night. Man, about dislocated my backectomy thing. Good gracious, this thing must have Loctite on it. Oh yeah, probably need a socket ratchet. That would be the faster thing to do. All right, socket ratchet. All right, last bolt. This thing flops off. We're gonna clean that up in a second. I'll show you my back. And your rotor has got this one little torque socket here. We're gonna pop that out and get the rest of it off. T30. All right, now this is a impact driver. I used to use this when we rebuilt starters back in the day to put the field coils in. What it does is wow, that was tight. I'd hate to know I had to break it loose with anything else. I bet it twisted this thing. Look at that. Whoo, that thing's gonna break if it ever goes back the other way. That stinks. Then this should come off just like this. Just like that. You see the groove in it. It's got a nice big old thick groove. Yeah, you could maybe get these turned, but they had a special on them. Looks like these may have been turned one time before. See how this side's real thin, this side's thick. So I don't know if the factory ones is like that or not. Yeah, they're the same thickness. both sides. So everything looks good. We're gonna put this back in there. The mechanic has a couple set of torques. Although I'm not a good mechanic, I'm just an idiot. We got these nice ceramic pads. If you notice, in the kit you'll have 2 with a squealer tab on this side, 2 with a squealer tab on this side. I always put them, you know, like that. Pick one of either. We've got new hardware here. This should be 2 for either side. These should just pop right off. Yep, they do. And I'll show you what I like to do on them. I like to get a little wire brush. And, yep. You see, clean all that stuff off like that. Because I used to years ago put grease on these, but it's not good to put grease on these because what's grease do? It attracts dirt. What's dirt do? Cause friction. What's friction cause? Stuff to wear out and go to the bad. So, what we want to do is we want to make sure these are lubricated and moving really good, and they are. They are really slick feeling, so we're gonna be good there. These pads here, they're just gonna pop right on like that, like that. Same thing over here, like that, like that, just like that, brand new. Now, all we got to do is go back with this, back on the back side. The big bolts that we took out, we've got these bolts as they go in the back, just like that. Just like that. Get these back tight like they were. Okay. Now, I like to put the squealer tab to the top. Different people have different preferences. We just pop them in those little shiny clips we just put in. Just like that. Perfect. Now, come on around back here. And with this being a dual piston, I use an old brake pad here. I'm gonna take a trusty C-clamp vice grip here. I'm gonna put a little bit of pressure on it. You see her slowly going back in. Now what this does, guys, a lot of times if somebody has filled up or topped off the brake fluid, it'll push brake fluid out of your master cylinder. We're hoping that we don't do that, but yeah, that's it. That's all she's got right there. I always make sure these little, sometimes they get air trapped behind them, and I'll show you how to get that out too. You can normally see that, puff a little air out. I didn't poke a hole in it. All I did was lift it up off that cylinder. What that does, that allows that thing to go back in there. There we go. See, if you don't, some people will leave them out there, and then when you put your brake pad up there, it pinches on it, and yeah, it's just bad. Now let's see if we pushed it back far enough. Oh yeah, look at there, it goes right in place. Sometimes these little pieces can be a little tricky, but we know that they got grease on them, they're lubricated. We already checked all that. Tighten these back up. Screw them right in with your fingers. Take these, put a little bit on them. Just like that. Done. That's it. We'll put his tire back up on here. Don't think too bad. We'll do this so y'all can see a little bit here.
I really don't know.
I don't say a lot of it can.
Probably could.
I'm still pretty young. You think 40's old? Always start these by hand. We're gonna go back and torque them. It's done for now. There you have it. We're gonna torque these to 95 once we let it down, and we'll be finished. And just remember, until next time, if it's giving trouble, it's probably going to the bad. Thank y'all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. 40's old.
Well, at the moment, I think it's kind of old. Not like 70-year-old, but